Yeah, just like the presentation we're practicing. Okay. And then the next graded pitch, is that next week? So we got one more pitch coming up. We have all the grades. I'll make sure you get all that feedback today so that you have that to incorporate for next week too. Did we send out the written feedback? Okay. Did everyone get that? You got the feedback from what people typed into the comments when they were grading? Have we sent it to them? Okay, we'll send that to you today too. All right, great. All right, and do we have guest mentors today? Yeah. Okay, so we'll kick it off with guest mentor intros, and then go into our company updates. So, do we have just one today, or is it? Okay, cool, awesome. And you've done this before, haven't you? Yeah, it's my first time. You've never done it. All right, I'm sorry. I thought you had. Well, great. Well, you're going to get a great intro, but first we're going to have you introduce yourself. We're towards the end of the semester, and so sometimes we have more than one guest mentor. I think this may have gotten rescheduled, so it's no big deal. This works just like everything else. And so we'll put up a prompt for you to do a quick intro of yourself. Then the startups are going to introduce themselves, and every week they practice their pitch. We have also, in addition to you being our guest mentor tonight, we have probably close to 20 lead mentors in the room who come every week and meet with them as well. And then we'll break up into office hours and you'll get a chance to meet with them. Did you get a list of the companies in advance? Okay, awesome, cool. So you'll have a little bit of insight, but you're gonna get to hear from them now too. So you're thinking like, who are the 3 that I'd be most interested in meeting with while they're talking? Awesome, all right, well come on up here and you're gonna introduce yourself first. So you can see the prompts up there.
Okay.
And
hello, everybody. It's nice to be here. My name's Matt Lessig. I'm co-founder and COO of a company here in town called Data.World. We're in data and AI software. This is year 10 for us. I've been an entrepreneur prior to that. What I'm doing now is kind of the standard venture capital backed software model, but I've also done bootstrap. I've also done debt financing. I've done some things in between. And so love entrepreneurs of all types. Those are my people. Love that Josh and the Capital Factory has been doing this with students in UT. I didn't have this when I was going through school. I certainly could have benefited from it. I'm sure it would have helped me prevent some mistakes. But in any case, I'm thrilled to be here. Really interested in hearing what you guys are working on, and I hope that I can be helpful. And so, what are you famous for? Probably what I'm most known for, and I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but I was a competitor on the show American Ninja Warrior. That is what I'm yeah. So I competed on that for 9 seasons as like the big old guy. With 3 kids and middle age, so I did that for a long time. What kind of things can you help with? I think I'm really good at trying to understand people's business and then maybe helping to kind of frame a couple of first principles. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs gravitate to the complexity and have all the answer, but I think in the end you really have to think about what are your first principles of your business and your opportunity, like what are when you really distill it down, which is great because you guys are pitching. And what are you excited about? I'm excited about just the absolutely insane age that we get to live in. AI showing up, the cycles of innovation, the jumps in innovation, faster than I've ever seen. I'm a bit older, so I lived through the personal computer revolution, the early days of the web, mobile, so those are the big moments in technology, and we're at another absolutely enormous one, and I think it's really exciting. So that's what I'm excited about.
all right, so now we'll jump into company updates, and we'll pass the mic as usual, so you guys get to go first.
Hello, everyone. My name is Harshit Sadhu, and I'm a co-founder at Internest. So I want to tell you guys a little story. So last summer, I felt unstoppable. I finally got my first internship, and I got on LinkedIn and I was excited to post, hey, I'm excited to announce that I'll be interning at Fidelity Investments. And what ended up happening was, although I felt on top of the world, in a couple of weeks' time, I realized that I was going to be in a new city, all the way out in Cupertino, with no roommate or housing to find. So immediately I started going on Reddit, LinkedIn, Craigslist, trying to find the perfect roommate and housing situation. But the issue is a lot of the options that I was to find was way too overpriced and quite frankly in really sketchy locations. So regretfully picking a location, once I moved in, I realized that it wasn't my vibe at all. For example, the roommate that I ended up being matched with was actually a 35-year-old because it was a random pairing. And instead of spending my summer on the beach, letting the California wind breeze through my hair, I rather spent it depressed in my room, not having a roommate who would enjoy it with me. After talking to multiple interns from different companies such as Disney, State Farm, Amazon, and Apple, I realized that every single intern had different versions of the same exact story: unreliable roommates and unreliable housing. So this is why me and my team decided to create InternNest. Now this summer, things are a little different. I'm excited to announce that I'll be interning at Apple this summer, kind of. And this time what happened is all I had to do was hop on internnest.net, INTERNNEST.net. All I had to do was fill out a roommate profile. It matched me with hundreds of interns in the area with preferences such as if they had a car or if they're willing to drive to the office or their dietary preferences. And after matching with hundreds of interns, I finally found the perfect roommate group. Then I hopped on the listing feature. I was able to type in my office address, and InternNest was able to curate thousands of different listings from Expedia, Vrbo, Airbnb, and subleases in the area, allowing me to find a really cheap housing situation. So with InternNest, not only do you find housing, but you find your forever home for the summer. What did we accomplish last week? So we actually got a LinkedIn message from a company called thesublease.ai, and basically they're doing a project kind of tangential to us, and they wanted to kind of do like a merger, kind of like their company and our company working on the same goal. So we talked to him. He seemed like a really good sales guy. We're gonna do a couple more updates with him to see like kind of where our goals lie at. So that's kind of like the biggest company update that we had. And I think someone that we need to meet with is definitely someone who has connects in like different cities to like these different campuses and apartments. Because right now, like we're good for West Campus, like we have housing, but when it comes to like Dallas or A&M, the housing is definitely harder to find there. And yeah, that's about it. Oh, sorry, you weren't here last week, but we got our first corporate partner. So Southwest Airlines is now a partner with InternNest. So like they sent it out to all of their interns, and like they're beta testing it for this year. And then they said if they like it, they'll renew like a contract for next year.
Hello? Yes.
Hello? All right. Hi. Hey, everyone. My name is Harrison. I'm a co-founder of GameTricks, where we make analytics for esports simple and accessible. So I've played video games for most of my life, but I was never the best at the competitive ones. No one knows this better than my co-founder, who's just leagues better than me in like any game. In fact, there's this one night in particular where I was just playing so bad that my co-founder was basically begging for me to log off before I drove him insane. He still wanted me to get better though, so we decided to see how the professionals play. And even though it was like 4 in the morning at this point, there's always a team playing somewhere in the world. And so for the rest of that night, we watched a Korean team play. And while we watched them play, my co-founder broke down every single play to explain to me the different strategies and tactics that they were using, and I wasn't. And as a result of his analysis, in just 1 month, I went from a bottom 50% player to a top 20% player. So this got us thinking, how could we replicate this layout of personalized information for other players? That's where GameTricks comes in. GameTricks is a data aggregation and analytics platform. We collect data from sources like grid.gg to provide performance tracking, predictive modeling, and natural language interactions. Imagine being able to just ask, hey, why am I losing on this side of the map? Or how will player X do against player Y? So whether you're scouting for the perfect player, identifying habits, or predicting matchups, GameTricks can take it to the next level. And so for company updates, in this last week, we continue working on our AI models for our Scout Report features. And then we also integrated player and coach dashboards to our page. And then for this next week, we're going to be working on a pilot program to work more closely with our users to get more feedback. For who we need to meet, anyone with connections to the esports space or analytics is much appreciated. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Justin. I'm working on Ducky. So the best way to learn something is by teaching someone else. So we're building Ducky. Ducky is an AI tutor where students can learn better by teaching Ducky. So Ducky's adaptive. So that means that over time, it'll learn how you learn, like any great tutor, and it'll store every topic you've ever learned in school or outside of school in your 12 years of learning into basically a second brain. And so you can basically access anything you've ever learned exactly how you learned it in your own words. We're building this because learning is still really difficult, even with AI right now. How I see it is that students and teachers are both still really desperate for something that works. Right now, students are still cramming and spending hours and days before an exam relearning or force memorizing content, and they'll forget it all after they take the exam. And then teachers have to wait for exam grades because it's their only metric to see how the class is doing. So, really big problem. So, what did we do last week? Honestly, just features, revamping the logo for Ducky, some 3D animations for Ducky to kind of like gamify it. And especially the experience of the 10-minute tutoring session, we're still refining. It's really important that our users really find the 10-minute sessions not only effective, but enjoyable, because that's what learning should be. What are we doing this week? So EF, Entrepreneur First, reached out to talk with us actually tomorrow. And so that'll be exciting. And who do I need help, or what do I need help with? Honestly, right now, not much. I'm spending most of my time just working with users and basically building something of real value to them, something that they really value and love. But besides that, I see everything else kind of as a distraction, and that's kind of how I feel right now. So yeah, in terms of like meeting with, or like needing other stuff other than building something valuable. Thank you. Oh.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Wu, and I'm the founder of Panacea. So growing up, I always had a dream to cure cancer. And last year, I began volunteering in the infusion rooms, and I sat side by side with cancer patients as they were going through chemotherapy. And I learned that the drug that they receive is actually one small process of their recovery journey. Actually, a lot of their pain points and their frustrations came outside of the hospital. So managing all the symptoms, they had to take care of their kids, they were undergoing financial toxicity. And hospitals recognized that this was not only stressful on the patients, but it cost them money, in that patients would come back and go to the ER more often or increase hospitalizations. So they implemented this program called Patient Health Navigation, where essentially patients talk to a patient health navigator about their symptoms and their pains, and in return, the navigator gives them resources. But the process is that it's very time consuming, and there always has to be a health navigator on the phone for the hospitals. There's always ongoing hiring costs. So what we're creating is Panacea, an AI personal health navigator for cancer patients and their care team. So how it works is that we make personalized recommendations for resources for patients using two data sources. One is the patient's EHR record, and two is what patients directly talk to Panacea about, their symptoms and their pains. And in exchange, we also get this information about the patient's day-to-day lives. So, and we streamline this back to hospitals and doctors to help the care team make more informed decisions about the patient's health. And so, yeah, last week what we did is we pitched at a competition, and we won, and we got $9K in non-dilutive seed funding, so that's fun. And we'll be going to the international competition in late May as well. Also, in the technical development side, we have integrated a couple of APIs, which are pretty important for us to get our data, the resource data, online. And one of our team members also built a program that scrapes better at perplexity in some cases for specific specific web structures. This week, our goal is to finish the IRB and then contact our research mentor so she can submit it to UT and we can start doing an official pilot. We've also been in contact with MD Anderson, so I've talked with 2 of their contacts, and we're about to go to a third who's like the director of innovation, so hopefully that will go well as well. And if anyone knows anyone in the medical industry, be it physicians or healthcare CEOs, insurance companies, that would be extremely helpful. Thank you.
Hello. All right. Hey everyone, my name is Akil Spitla, and I'm the co-founder of Clipstack. So let me tell you a thing or two about content creators. When content creators scale their teams, managing content production can quickly become overwhelming. This is due to different things like video files getting scattered, editing turning into long back and forth revisions, and then content creators and their teams constantly switching between different tools and platforms to keep up with their growing creative workflows. This makes it incredibly difficult for creators to stay organized, maintain consistency, and just meet their deadlines. That's why we're building Clipstack. Clipstack is a cloud-native workspace specifically designed for creators and their teams to streamline each step of the content creation process, from ideation to editing and publishing, all within one centralized platform. By keeping everything organized, Clipstack empowers creators to keep everything on top of keep it all organized together to make sure that creators can focus on what really matters, which is creating. So what we did last week is we focused on 2 components, which is storyboarding and media upload. These are just 2 key components of our content creation process that we're implementing in Clipstack, and we're almost done tweaking it. So by this week, we expect to finish that and also implement 2 other features. And we're also going to follow up with one of our clients that we're working with just to give an update on where we are and keep them interested. The only ask that we have is how do we outreach to more people? And if you know any other connections to other content creators, we'd love to get in touch with them. But yeah, thank you.
Hello, I'm Ivy, the founder of Spiceable. Have you ever wanted to recreate a dish that you like, but only to realize you're missing half of the spices? Spiceable creates all-in-one pre-portioned spice cards to make global flavors accessible at your home kitchen. I'm an international student from China. Growing up, my mom cooked for us 7 days a week. It was my mom's love language, and food is how we express love. But after I moved into the US when I was 14 by myself, I missed those familiar flavors. When my host family asked me to create an authentic Chinese dish for them, I was excited to share a piece of home. But when I started planning, I realized they didn't have any of the seasonings that I needed. Star anise, white pepper, Sichuan peppercorn, etc. What should have been a quick trip to the grocery store became a scavenger hunt. And by checkout, our cart was full of ingredients we'd probably never use again. And that's when it hit me. So many people want to explore authentic flavors and cook global dishes, but the process can be wasteful, inconvenient, and overwhelming. So that's why I created Spiceable. All the spices you would need for this one dish are all packed and sealed into blister bubbles that are ready to be popped out into your pot. With a global cuisine to explore, there's a recipe card on the back as well telling you exactly what to do with what ingredients. So last time when I visited my host family, this is all I brought with me. And I was able to make an authentic Chinese dish, and it was such a meaningful experience sharing some of my favorite dishes with them. So make home cooking easier, tastier, and healthier for yourself and your loved ones. For last week, we kept improving our packaging. Thank you. It's probably not that different from last week, but instead of hand carving them, we're using the Cricut machine to cut it, so this packaging could be applied on a larger scale. On the other side, we're connecting with 7 vendors at the farmers market, and we're in the process of exploring ways to collaborate, either through website incorporation or adding our products to their sell line. And we're also expanding our content for social media. We're working on a series of spices of the world, so highlighting different cuisines from different cultures. And we're constantly posting on social media, and also this content will be incorporated into the blog on our website for SEO. For this upcoming week, on the production side, we want to work on a process map and try to identify steps for optimization. And the next step is for the branding side. We have a professional photo shoot arranged for this Friday. We're gonna try to use all those elements for a website and just overall the branding. And feel free to check out Spiceable at Spiceable No Punctuation, our Instagram account, and we'll hopefully launch our website by the end of the month. And in terms of help, it would be really helpful if anybody has connection in any experts in e-commerce and retail. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Will. I'm a co-founder of Panopsis. So the deal space is kind of interesting and kind of hidden from, from what we do every day. And in fact, behind these doors of these investment banks, we have these M&A analysts who end up working to 60 to 80 hours a week, and even in more extreme cases, up to 100 hours a week. And that was the case of someone that we talked to last year, and his name was Jonah. He worked at the Peakstone Group in Chicago, and he was working on sell-side M&A deals. Now, the issue is that he spends most of his time, around 80 to 90% of his time, inside of something called a virtual data room. Now, you can imagine that as almost like a confidential Google Drive for all of the information inside of a company that's required to do a deal. And the issue with that is that this software has been the same for the past 10 years, and there hasn't been any innovation, and most of the time is just spent doing a bunch of analysis and trying to find that needle in the haystack when you're trying to get that information that you need. And it's a huge issue. It costs these firms a lot of money. Not only that, the analysts are ending up having accuracy issues purely because they're working such long work weeks. And that can lead to missed value and, in the end, delayed deals, which is very costly for the investment banks. And that's what we solve at Panopsis. At Panopsis, we're building the first AI-native virtual data room. And what that means is that we're entirely integrating agentic workflows straight into buy-side M&A deals. And one fun fact is that for every day that a deal is delayed, it can cost the firm up to $27,000 just from missed synergies, debt financing, and other kind of opportunities that are missed. So at Panopsis, we created a feature where these sell-side bankers are able to organize their documents inside of a data room, as well as agentically search through all the documents, whether it's thousands of pages or tens of thousands of pages, whether it's Excel, Word, PDF, or even PowerPoints. We can extract all that information and give these bankers a well-rounded and comprehensive insight about the companies that they're dealing with. And this allows for these analysts and the banks to get these deals done 10 times faster with much higher accuracy, and in the end, just increase their bottom line. And in terms of what we did last week, we're on track to hopefully sell to our first customer by the end of the semester. But we're still in talks with them, and this is Austin Growth Capital, so we're still kind of depending on when they respond and when we can demo to them. And also last week, we're kind of just finished cleaning up the rough edges of our product to make sure that we can actually be used in a production use case, as well as actually sell to a bank and really just get to that level of seriousness too, where it's not just like an MVP or a side project or a student project, but actually something that can be used inside the dealscape. And as for next week, actually today I just assigned my interns. We have 4 high schoolers who are admitted into UTCSB, so the same program that me and E are in. I just assigned them the first task, so I'll be seeing on how they'll be doing, and hopefully it was a worthwhile investment of my time. Additionally, we're going to keep on rounding everything out. In fact, me and my co-founders last week, we had a discussion about the core features that we need. There's a lot of side features that we've been working on, but we decided that some core features such as querying, audit logging, Some of these features are really crucial for a deal. We want to get those out first, and that's our priority. And in terms of the help that we need, I just say if just any connections to anyone in the banking industry, whether it's investment banking, venture capital, private equity, we want to hear from all sides, and we want to see who we can benefit the most. And yeah, and I guess that's pretty much it. Thanks so much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Clint, and I'm the co-founder at Young Bros. Roblox, which is like a YouTube where it's like a YouTube for games where game developers can come and make money off their games, is now the world's largest and fastest growing game platform in the world with over 80 million daily active users. Or you can think of it as around 1,000 NFL stadiums worth of players playing per day. But what if I told you that despite there being so many players and millions of developers, that less than 1% of these developers are making any money from their game? Take Jacob, for example, a developer who we actually work with but couldn't get his game seen. After Jacob put tons of hours into making his game great, his game completely flopped, and he honestly just didn't know what to do. He knew he had a really good game on his hands, but simply didn't know how to prove it. And after being at his lowest point, he even reached out to other game investors that could hopefully help him launch and sustain his game, but he got rejected from everybody simply because since he had no KPIs to prove that his game would succeed on the platform, they felt like his game was too risky to invest in. And that's when we met Jacob. We partnered with Jacob in exchange for revenue share and equity in his game, provided him funding, as well as solved his major issue of boosting his marketing using our knowledge on the platform's algorithm. And after launching, Jacob's game became one of the top, or after relaunching, Jacob's game became one of the top fighting games on the platform and was quickly bought by a larger studio for over $500,000, despite it just taking $15,000 to make. Jacob, after his exit, was able to pay off college completely and became a full-time game developer. And we, because we partnered in Jacob, we made over 50 times how much we invested in under 2 months. And with only 1% of developers making actually money on their games, that just leaves millions of developers just like Jacob, who simply have a great game, but they often lack the funding to finish. They lack the means to market their game and be actually seen on the platform after launching their game. And even if they successfully launch their game, they lack the means to sustain their game and fully be able to have the monetization potential that their game would have, if not otherwise. And that's why we at Young Bros help these developers solve their 3 major issues by 1, offering funding, 2, boosting their marketing using our knowledge on the platform's algorithm, as well as influencers that we know in our ecosystem, and 3, help these developers sustain their game for the long run by providing strategies like live ops as well as brand partnerships. To date, we've made over $250,000 with a 10x multiplier on every dollar invested in these developers, and with your help us turn these developers' games into businesses. Thank you. What did we accomplish last week? So we have a game that's about to launch in around a week or a half or so. So right now we're really in battle mode to make sure everything goes well. Onboarded a lot of influencers, but we want to really up that number by the time we launch the game so that goes well. And from there, we really want to be able to, afterwards, set ourselves up in a good position to get funding or partner with other people that we know in our ecosystem to be able to scale. And what do we plan to accomplish next week? Launch the game successfully, and then who do we need help from? Anyone in the game development space, specifically games that are free to play, not paid, that could help us with this game and any game that we launch in the future. Thank you.
All right, good job. It's getting close to the end of the semester. So we have next week graded pitches again, and then demo day. Holy crap, where'd the semester go? We will also send out an email asking about the investments. So if that's something you're interested in, Please start thinking about that so you can let us know whether to include you in that. We'll send you info, but the tip basically it's just since most companies haven't raised money yet, it's a very standard format, and there's both a standard convertible note or safe and a pretty standard set valuation. If you've already raised money and you're at some other point, then there's a way to handle that and talk about that too. But it's pretty straightforward. And what else? Yeah, I think those are the biggest things. So we will. Anything else from you, Isha? Yeah, so as a reminder, there's about, I think, 7 or 8 of them, and we'd really appreciate it if all of the students and lead mentors could review that and then fill out the grading form for each of those too, because that'll help us get grades across everybody. And then right now, we'll also make sure to send out the feedback, because a lot of people, when they're filling out the grading, write down feedback, and so we can share that with you, and I think that'll be really helpful. And then you'll also get the grades from those students, so you can incorporate that into your next pitch. All right, awesome. Break up for office hours. Matt, you can come on over.
hopefully we're just ready for where we're going.
Yeah. And then, so it sounds like the data component you largely handled, like so I know there was pieces you were saying would be hard to get, like, positional, it's not even positional within the map, it's like almost
We're talking about, like, in terms of, like, the video.
Yeah, the video stuff is, like, farther out.
That's
the
really
actual
far.
stats, I mean, everything can be ripped from the API.
Yeah, anything like that, like an analyst is currently seeing, we can provide like within like an instant. Like that's kind of like our motive, like for analysts. Like we have like one of those deeper dives, whether you're an analyst or you're just a really enthusiastic player or you're a sports gamer, things like that.
So did you opt for the multi-page scouting reports, or did you decide to partner?
I'm opting down to listen to the small format. I'm opting down to the small format. That's why it's taking a bit like more iteration because I gotta iterate with some other esports organizers like to see like what really is like gonna be useful for them.
Yeah, what did the
so the main thing is like maps. So in games like Valorant, for example, like there's like a map pool. So there's these like basically tons of locations that you can choose to play on, and you veto, you pick, you veto maps and things like that. And so different teams have exactly. And then you might be shit against this team on this map, things like that. And that's like stuff that they want their players to know when they get into the big advanced stage. And then like also what characters other players like to make because Valorant's a game like League of Legends where they have abilities and stuff. So there's obvious counterplay. So there's things like that that they want to be able to see. And then like a big thing that's on the scout reports that's really hard is like that we could implement if we had video or if we were able to get video like up and like the video features up and running like really fast is that they like doing this in Valorant there's these things called items and so if you have like a piece of utility like a grenade or something, right? So you line up like you have a lineup to like throw it like from maybe A side to B side, and that grenade would land like, on that location. And so they call it lineup because you line up like some sort of thing on your screen with some like something on the map. So like you might align like the GUI element on your HUD with like a rock. And so it's always standardized and like it's like the coach wants these people to know like or wants the players.
So it's almost like a memorization.
Yeah, they want like, make sure to throw this grenade. Like
it's almost like I remember in like specific COD maps, right, when they would start, as soon as players were rushing into the map, you could hit a certain point, throw a grenade, and like if somebody on the other side was dumb or didn't know, it'd be almost always like a guarantee. Like first kill,
set plays like that.
Except for what you're talking is probably more dynamic, where it's just like in this situation where a team fight's happening here, usually you want to line up with this throw.
And throw that and that lands over here. Things like that. Those are the main things.
And are the lineups things that, like, any player that's playing at that level would know what that lineup is, or like, what's the value add of you offering those to the platform? Because I can see the training part where a coach wants a player to memorize, like, when you see this point.
It's on the other end of like maybe the enemy team likes to use this lineup. Like so there's counterplay that they know. Like, he tends to throw this grenade. Make sure you're not there at this like current moment.
Gotcha.
Things like that. But I have been doing
triangulate something similar to that from data points, like even without the video data, like if you have positional data on that, this player at these coordinates tended to inflict either this type of damage, if there's categories of damage. If there's not, maybe it's
so we're thinking about the technicals around that. That's definitely we're definitely like thinking
this player tends to do a burst of X thousand damage from this position. That'd probably be like a lot of
things like that. Like we're thinking like creative solutions like that. And also we've also seen like on our B2C side, so on like the more like personal player improvement area, there's like a whole repository of like community created like lineups, for example. And like we could like when we get our video operations up, we could in theory we could just just basically scrape all those videos and basically have a whole like wealth of like repository of like information on like various different lineups that players have found on the map. Because like, we can't do that ourselves. Like go through the whole map and find like every single possible lineup that you can line up with. Because like there's as many things to line up as there are pixels in the game, right? So that's also interesting on the B2C side. Obviously that's later. We're kind of just vision boarding now. In a second. Yeah, that's currently where we're at right now.
Does something like that exist
For
lineups?
yeah, like you could Google them, like on YouTube, like are YouTubers like that's like kind of like some
Yeah, so your value there is the matching of like these. Explain it to me again, the value of that part.
Yeah, so
basically the punchline of what I was thinking was, would consumers be more likely to get, like, is that a higher value product that they'd be like, oh shit, this is way more interesting than like the basic stat stuff? Like, are consumers going to be going to game metrics more likely to be going to game metrics all the time for like, I want to see this one player's stat sheet. Maybe if they're like gambling, but like that seems like a tool that improves their gameplay. But that's kind of outside of the core product.
Right. So exactly. So that was like core product.
And also walk me through the lineups again because I'm understanding the COD way that I just described this, but I think that's probably not exactly what it is. It's more akin to like, put it in league terms, where it's like this player tends to jungle from this spot, so he does this. So what would a lineup be in?
So like
build their first position.
So do you know
Or Halo 3.
Let's say Jinxel goes through the map, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you know like this player or like you line up, like I'm sure there's certain angles that you line up the rocket where it gets like probably the most value, things like that, right?
Yeah.
And so you line up with like this rock, or you line up your whatever your mouse or whatever to this rock, and then you press left click to activate it or whatever, and then that go through the whole map and that kill like X jungle because it does execute now, right?
Those types of things. Yes.
Yeah, they would kill this jungle like creature.
Yeah, like
dragon.
when you're running on this random path, if you have an across the map shot and you're level 18, you can shoot it there.
Yeah, things
almost
like that.
90% of the time you're going to hit that one jungle creature to get the gold if it's spawned.
Yeah.
Also, something similar to like the grenade thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's more something that like lineups are usually for mollies. So like if you know that like the team usually enters from this part of the map, you just like from far away you throw a volley and like stop them right
stop the
there.
whole push.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's like the value of like knowing lineups, so that like from far away you
Yeah,
can
so
stop the whole team.
so lineups are more. Okay.
It's all utility, yeah.
Yeah, it's more utility-based plays.
Yeah, because if you're on,
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like the B side player can help the A side player from even like across the map, basically. So even if your side's not hit, you still get value.
Yeah. Is that an amateur player that's trying to get better? Is that the closest thing?
That is actually yes.
It's always like, are you losing your games? Try this lineup, and it's like you run away, like
it's like
plant the ball, run away, don't fight them.
Yeah, there's things like that where you place the bomb in like this specific area, and then you go to this specific corner of the map, and you look at this specific cloud on the map, and every time you look at that cloud and like you hear like the tap of the diffuse, you always throw like a grenade or whatever, and then it hits exactly on the bomb, and then it kills the diffuser, and then you just win.
Okay, yeah, so I think I have a very clear understanding of what you're talking about. Yeah, because there's like a million of those things in a million games. Like, if you're in Halo, you stand at this spot, shoot this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like
or like, actually, probably better examples like the bouncing sniper bullets. It's like this spot, you know the angles. Yeah, it's like that.
Ricochet's gonna be perfect.
Interesting. So I was thinking how, like, if that's the lowest hanging fruit on the consumer side, then that's probably what people would be like going to your site for, more so than like the subtleties of like this player got this kill. But it sounds like a lot heavier lift to do that. I was just thinking like, once if you have a product like that, does that become, it'll be a non-iterative process, but an evolving process. You might come out with this core product and just a video thing, then you're like, oh shit, that has a lot of for consumers. That's why people are coming here, because they're trying to improve their gameplay as opposed to like matchmaking professional games. Like what we've talked about before, like how big is the gameplay market, how many are going to be using this, or like consumer market, people that want to get better at their games may be a lot bigger than like the pro market. Okay, subscription for scouting videos. Not to derail your product development roadmaps.
Just stuff we were vision boarding as we were just thinking of like.
But so is there any way to get a basic version of those lineups without video? Like, would it be way too much?
I mean, you could just
Statistical fancy footwork. Well, I guess it clearly isn't. Yeah, stealing videos is not good.
You could do that, yeah. You could just steal the videos from generating content. That would be the easiest thing to do, but I don't know about the implications of it.
How do lineups, if I'm coming to Game Metrics today, as a that you're launching, where would lineups even fit in that?
Yeah, so
like in the scouting reports, like this player tends to use that one.
Yeah, so if I mean, it's like multifaceted, right? So on the B2C side, you use for your own improvement, right? And then on the B2B side, like if we have these videos that are awesome, and we know that this player likes this lineup, right? We show the lineup on the generated scout reports and all that. So then that's kind of what we were thinking at the beginning. We were only thinking at B2B right now, but then we thought we just vision boarded and we thought this whole time we go B2C locations. Just spitballing, that's it.
Is your priority to get any amount of this in the scout report in the you're trying to get this week?
No.
Do you have a picture of the outline of the?
Oh yeah, we have.
Is that the trend down report?
We have like a little MVP scout report.
Yeah, let's go.
No, we're not impressed with it though. At this point, we're not impressed, but
that's what I like to hear. Never content.
it's an iterative process. I think if we keep grinding, we should be able to hit demo day for a beta. That's like the main goal. Like just complete everything that's been started and iterate from there.
Did you have any conversation with any of our teams or people in the industry last week?
So we actually got ghosted by the competitor guy. Yeah, like I even booked a room in the library because I was at school at the time. And I just stood there for like an hour, you know. And then he texted me back. He's like, I absolutely double booked. Can I like reschedule? And then I asked him what time or like what time he'd like to reschedule or like what day. And I just been ghosted by business.
That was the competitors. How many people do you like fucking players on Twitter?
I use Twitter, so I'm usually
what DM them through? There's probably is there a DM function in Valorant like to DM someone?
They have to add you as a friend.
Yeah.
So here's what we have currently.
I fucking call it make a Twitter.
We'll probably got a couple minutes. This is just dummy day. So this is like the first part would be like this is an overview of April. Map strategies. All that, like whenever you switch sides, you know, obviously your defense or your attackers. What we should focus on our side, things like this. This will all be grounded within data.
Yeah, game by game.
Yeah. And then just like you don't want to read anything like this is what you should get on. Yeah. It's basically just whatever's here, just like in one sentence.
Okay, so there's not gonna be any graphics or anything.
Oh, not on the MVP, not on the MVP.
Yeah. So what's the biggest struggle? Like the biggest thing between now and that MVP?
Okay, so
the other day, is it getting the prompting right?
Yeah, so we are working on our prompt engineering to make sure it's what we want. Like right now, it's like getting it. It's not quite like the depth is not as well. It's not like not so grounded in statistics. Like it's like, oh yeah, it's this KD is like this.
Yeah, it's providing like super generic stuff.
Very
It's
generic,
like,
very generic.
Get more kills, your KD will be better. Yeah, okay, well,
Of course, yeah. So work on that.
Is your the LLM that you're prompting have how many parameters, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. How much do you have? Is it consolidating time data and performance data so that it says like, so that it would know in the first, like you said, in the one of your little dummy data things said like, oh, our KD.
Yeah, so
you're doing
yeah,
tools
exactly. So
like, can yours say like, hey, out of the last 5 games, you have tended to struggle in the late game, even though you might be dominating the early game?
I think it's probably like we're just basically dumping the data and prompting it with that data and with our own system prompt. So I think formatting the data in a way that's more digestible, like
And from a technical perspective, again, explaining it to me like on 5, how is your consolidated?
Yeah, so we have
a database, you just Python scripts that the LLM is using,
let's just talk on just like the flow for the AI scouting post, right? So on our back end, right? So we have a Postgres SQL database. It's just like Postgres is just the standard databasing. So that's like SQL is just like table data. You can think about like Excel is like tables, like stuff like that. And so we have a bunch of these tables. We have player tables, player stats, things like that. We also have some advanced stats that are in our tables. Like we have a bunch of crap, right? And then also we'll have relations, right? Wait, do I need to go? Are you familiar with SQL? Or like databases? Okay, yeah. So the way that
conceptually databases.
So SQL we use it for relational databases, and we call it relational because we have to. It's only valuable if you need to draw relations between different like tables. So in our case, that's very important, right? Because players are part of the team. The team plays in an event. Matches are in an event. There's also teams that play in a match. Players belong to the team, and there's stats that belong to those players, right? There's TLDR. So we draw all those connections, and that's basically what relational database is.
And it also shows up connections between like this player, this
stat, and this stat, exactly. So all their stats are connected to them, right? So one player could have like a shit ton of different stats, right? How many games they played, what they did in the game.
And then like what character that player was playing.
Exactly. So in that case, it actually is pretty readable, like to the human eye, right? It's all structural, right? So you just gotta make it in a way where it's a lot more better to prompt it, like more natural. It makes a shit ton of sense. Like we can honestly like draw the connection between all the data. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, this guy got killed over here. I mean, this guy was struggling here like 5 times, got over here like in this like area, plus or minus 5 times, right? And so
how do you refine the prompt engineering?
Intuition, I guess.
Is that like, is it the wordsmithing of, or like, sorry, maybe continue with your explanation, but is it like, is this multi-layered or multi-agent, I guess?
Oh, no.
So you literally are just having, wait, also which model are you using?
Yeah, we're using 4.0.
Okay, so you're literally, you have all of your consolidated organized data, just like 4.0.
Yeah, so
how does this layer 2 and 4.0 go look at all this insane fucking SQL?
Yeah, so the way in theory it's gonna work, it's supposed to work, is
because do you think maybe like the
potentially, I don't know, I don't see the value in it, like currently, like, I don't see why we need intuition. I don't think, because one, we already know, like, what base queries, like, are possible, right? So in SQL, there's specific queries, it's like kind of like, it's a language, like structured query language, right? There's only a specific query that you need to use to get this player, right? So we can outline it to the LLM, and then, but maybe we should go for an approach where,
so does the LLM basically process it as I say?
Yeah.
How did player X do?
Yeah, so on our
end, so it says like when it sees player X, it knows to use SQL to the data related.
So on our end, it's actually pretty simple. So when the client goes to generate a scout report, right, we have their ID and we also have the enemy player ID or team ID, and using that we query our database to grab whatever data we need, and actually, I think I realized what the problem is.
I'm a fucking genius.
I
You're the greatest mentor alive.
I think the problem is because I think the default settings in our database is like we limit to 1,000 rows and like per query. So like if you could grab the last 1,000 games, that's a shit ton of games. If you grab the last 1,000 stats, that's not a lot of stats.
Yeah. When you said 1,000 rows, I was like, there's probably thousands of data points.
Originally we did that as like a security thing because it's not cheap. Querying data is not cheap. Like the cost of data going into it is zero, but querying out, as we call that egress calls, no, that is not cheap.
Is that not cheap because is that measured in, again, show me, is that measured in like, that will cost a shit ton of tokens to have 4.0 do that?
Oh no, it's on the database side.
Okay,
so it costs the database provider X amount of money, whatever, to send that out. In this case, it's Supabase. So Supabase is a Postgres host. They're simple. And so,
also, if you were sensitive questions, continue.
Yeah. So we have a free trial with Supabase for like a year. So we've been using.
Why do you use Supabase?
Oh, it's just really simple to use, really like intuitive, and really easy to like.
And they're just database providers.
Yeah. And they also provide authentication as well. So we also use them for that as well. And they also provide edge functions. So edge functions are these things where, like, if you wanted to generate a scout report, right? It's not like a set thing, like you're gonna generate a scout report at X time, right? X and that time you're gonna do it in an hour, right? It's unscheduled, it's very sporadic, right? So edge functions are built to handle this. So instead of like hosting a server that like is listening to your calls every single time, whenever you click the button to generate a scout report, you send a call to Supabase, and we have an edge function with Supabase that then executes whenever you send that request to Supabase. So your client sends a request to Supabase, we execute this edge function. This edge function has some TypeScript code that then sends a request to OpenAI to get. It also sends the prompt to 4.0 and then receives the output from 4.0, and then that edge function returns to the client. And then that's what you see when you get the transcript, or when you get the scout.
Yeah. So you were saying you had limited
Yeah, so the edge function is the one that calls these egress calls.
Yeah. So is there a way to ensure that to optimize the
definitely
accuracy, or like the amount of data that needs to be pulled, so that you aren't just saying
how do you? It's definitely.
And how expensive is that?
I mean, if in scale, you hit limits really fast. Unless you're at the testing stage, you don't really have to think about it. Like the reason why we got the free trial is because we probably hit the limit like in a week on the free tier. And so even though we're on like this more premium tier, there's still like a limit. And if we hit the limit, the service goes down. No clients can query anything. The data business is dead. You know, like that's like a nightmare scenario. So we're really kind of like trying to.
Is there kind of like a way to optimize? I was gonna say like a caching system, like frequently asked queries, or like a way to optimize that.
I mean,
you know that they typically want this kind of data for these types of matches. So we save some of that.
The thing about cache, so cache would be likely on the browser, right? On the browser side. And so the issue with that is that how much realistically do you want to cache on the browser before you start slowing down your whole PC, you know? And then especially on the phone, we have to also make sure it's performant. Performance on that.
I was thinking not.
But performance is not an issue. We're just like trying to make sure we have uptime. That's it. Performance is like our least of our worries. Like we don't honestly, we don't really care if it's slow or fast. Because we just want catalog, governance, we just want shit.
But so more specifically, more directly to shipping it faster, your problem is, do you think think it is that 1,000?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna have to experiment, so I can't say that for sure. But I could say that like maybe like
When somebody prompts for your average user probably isn't asking in a super sophisticated way.
yeah.
How are you ensuring? How do you feed it through to make sure that it's actually trying to formulate question?
Yeah, so we have so the way that have you ever worked with the OpenAI API before?
With my ChatGPT wrapper, it's dog shit.
Yeah,
So if you
if you work with ChatGPT wrapper, right? So there's these there's parameters that you can set, right? And so one of the parameters is a system prompt. And that's probably the bread and butter of every GPT wrapper in existence.
Okay, yeah, because that's exactly what mine was. My little rhetoric.
So
I told it I want you to respond to philosopher. So like anytime somebody input their shitty question, like
so
the system prompt was the one that was like your answer is in Mockingbird Nest, right?
Yeah, so there's there's
So
various.
is your system run very nuanced?
Yeah. I mean, we try, but obviously, we also want to be as concise as possible as well. But I actually did see. So this past weekend, I actually participated in hackathon, and so I actually talked to this one person, this one guy, and he's gonna be working at Cloudflare in the summer, and so they actually have a really cool thing that they have. So in their documentation, they provide you prompts to put into an LLM so that you're it's really easy to operate. It's so in depth that you can tell the team of engineers iterated over it. It was obviously pretty eye opening how in depth these prompts go. That's pretty crazy to see also the transition to AI tools as well.
Prompt engineer. I haven't seen it. So I was gonna go back and look at it myself. Yeah, here it is. You literally just published a 69 page. And you know what I fucking found? Maybe that could be useful.
Yeah, so we're definitely gonna take some inspiration from how they did it. Because I thought that was
So it actually seems like figuring out refining a prompt then.
it's a lot of process.
Seems like it would be a lot of experimentation, but relatively quick thing to iterate on. Seems like getting the database in order seems like a much heavier lift than scraping and taking on damage. It's all in a recognizable, indexing way.
The prompt is kind of if you want it to work, you start at the prompt. If you want to at least put something that you want to look at, that's prompts a month. I don't think that's our current avenue of investigate problems and then seeing what else we can start tweaking to get to the product that we're happy with pushing out.
How do people on the list? How do you anticipate getting more ratings?
Yeah, so for B2C,
you can build this exquisite product.
So for B2C,
you don't have any eyes.
For B2C, we're doing this so I have friends that are in the gambling space. Right. So we're doing this kind of guerrilla marketing thing where they're building up their audiences, and the big reveal is oh, we're using game tricks for our game. That's what we kind of working on. That's behind the scenes. That's
kind of
yeah, exactly. We're just trying to user generated content mainly for B2C. User generated content.
How many eyes do you have? They're just they're more like giant discords, right?
Yeah,
they're not really Twitter followers.
No, not like that.
But I mean, if they have a good reputation, or if they're a mod of one of those giant discords, that's interesting.
Yeah, so some of these discords will have hundreds of people. Oftentimes they go on they do a live stream on TikTok or whatever. They live stream live research or whatever, live research on fakes or whatever, things like that. So they get hundreds and hundreds of views pushed on that. The algorithm pushes really hard sometimes on very niche content like that. Yeah. So they actually get pretty good viewership. So hopefully we get some impressions.
how many friends do you have like that? Four. All in different
Yeah, different, and also different spaces. Like some focus on like more traditional, like some like traditional, and then like dabbling like one or two esports based. Like, like so it's like sometimes they specialize.
How much gambling are you doing?
You know,
Esports matches.
if I told you the truth,
And what's your P&L?
actually positive.
Let's say for 2025.
Well, I should just file my taxes yesterday, so I actually put my 1099.
Nice. Now, let's say you're 2024 positive. So, okay, what's your ROI? It's cash on cash, dude. Come on, let's how good are these pixie years? Let's see what this data analytics tool is.
I'd be pulling I pull a lot of money every week because I try to like be systemized as possible. I do bet like I do this thing every day where I bet on every single Valorant game like possible. So like, sometimes I'll have like a crazy like 8 leg that I've never hit in the world. Sometimes I'll only do 4 legs. You know?
Wait, you bet on every game possible.
Every Valorant game.
Do you see that as optimal or just because you want to bet on it?
Because I want to. If I'm gonna be transparent,
but why bet on like the 8 leg parlays? Why not bet on the higher conviction? Like
that's I used to do
matches
that. I used
or
to do that.
specific
I
things.
used to do that when I was younger. Yeah.
So now you just shotgun. I guess I don't follow. But like, if there's bets that you think are mispriced by the book, why not size your conviction? I'm thinking like poker.
Yeah. Whenever I'm like low on cash, I'll do that. Whenever I'm low on cash, I'll do that. Some I just do for the love of the game.
Okay, there we go.
I just do it for the love of the game.
See, that's a fair answer. I was gonna be like, why do that when you're low on cash? When you're up more, you should bet on the things you have to double down on.
Yeah, I did that back in the day when I was trying to like build up my bank.
Yeah.
We're like a
do you play any poker?
not
From
recently.
Ducky guy over there?
I haven't recently had
Cleaning that up.
Like a lot of agents do like gambling stuff, like card games.
Yeah.
So you know like the kind of household they grew up in.
Yeah, I've had a very extensive background in gambling. Like stemming from Minecraft.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. So
what were you gambling on in Minecraft?
yeah. So there's like virtual currency in like games, right? So like probably like 11 or 12. You know, coin flipping my full balance against another guy's balance. Flipping like a million to like billion sometimes. You know. Yeah, things like that. And then I got to CS:GO gambling like pretty early, so unregulated, you know, like roulette.
And CSGO has like the gambling aspect of all the box.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You flipping skins and stuff?
I didn't open any boxes. Because they give you skins for free, and then you basically.
I didn't remember. Okay, see me. I didn't remember what the collectible in the game was that people can buy. So I had a buddy that was trying to build a marketplace for those. Because like Steam's like very laissez-faire.
Very. And then so you transfer into these gambling websites. You used to be able to bet on the games, actually.
Really?
Yeah, you used to be able to bet on the games. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, because the gambling sites are like escrow, right?
Yeah. And then
That's what my friend.
Yeah, they're like middlemen.
One of the startups, Sunny, was working on.
He's
Trying to build a CS:GO marketplace. Yeah, to like take some segment because that market's like there's a lot of
it funds the whole esports like over in that space.
yeah. Which I never understood. Maybe you could explain to me. So when Sunny was pitching that startup to build that marketplace, like why does Steam not like? It's highly in Roblox's interest to make sure that you're transacting with fucking Robux because it's insane the transaction fee they get. It's a beautiful business model. Like, why is Steam so laissez-faire that they would allow billions of dollars to extract it from their ecosystem and they don't get a cut? I mean, I know it keeps people playing the game, it's good marketing and stuff, but it's like they took 50 basis points, and they took less than 1 and they took a quarter of a percent on every single one of those. Is it more that they don't want to navigate the regulatory of like being a broken
I think it's like that. I think it's like that as well because if you're not familiar with like Steam and Valve runs really lean. Like even being multi-billion or however many billions.
Yeah, it's like their revenue
like 100
per employee.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, that's insane. Like they probably have like in the hundreds of employees.
Dude, y'all have to. I told you last time you have to listen to the game.
Yeah, I started listening when I go to the
Thank
gym.
you,
I listen
dude.
to-
Yeah, he goes through all of it. He talks about Steam and Valve, and Valve's history is crazy.
Yeah.
Continue though. Okay, so why don't they? Why
Yeah,
don't
so I think it's definitely like,
it's just a manpower thing?
I think they just don't care to deal with it.
And then
I know they have
a regulator would come in and be like, hey, people are actually like money laundering through your site, allegedly.
You know, they have dealt with it in like the past with certain sites, like they're really like skirting on like the terms of service. Like there are like workarounds on like, hey, you're not technically converting to real money. You convert to like a virtual currency, which you can then convert to another skin, which you can then go to a different website, which can then be sold on a marketplace to then give you money. So it's like how they do it in Japan, where you get like Nintendo and you get like a little bar and you can redeem the shop across the street for like cash, like things like that. Like there's just the things like they skirt the laws. It's like, and it's kind of annoying, but like also you're kind of subsidizing the space as well. So like, so at that point, not really much you can do. Even if you shut down this website, the copycats come back the next morning. It's really not much you can do.
Is your gambling on Valorant do you bet by gut, or do you actually see play? What's your strategy where you're like, hey, I think Vegas, I'm using Vegas as the house is set the line wrong on this play.
I think a lot of times,
Do you feel like you have an edge?
I think there are certain games that there are an edge. Like Vegas does like overvalue a team over another team just because this team got fucking shit on by another team. But like when you see that, it's like, okay, maybe I think it was really just a mismatch like momentum type of game. So the way I play the game, so I know that even if I lose like 13-3 against this other team or this one team, I could play them again, and we could go 13-10, 13-13, go overtime. You know, that's the things like that. So if I see a line that's like really extremely low for a player, like 21 kills over 2 maps, which is kind of insane, right? Because like to get 22 kills over 2 maps, you need 11 kills per map. There's at least 13 rounds per map. So you need to really be shit to really not get there. And you know, all these are professional players, top 1% players in the game, top 0.0% players in the game.
Yeah, but also the difference between LeBron James and the guy that writes for Memphis in the NBA, they are all the top 1%. Even then, there's a huge power.
Definitely. But if that bench player is lines at like 5 points, you know, and sometimes the line hits, like if it's a mismatch,
They're like, this is a good value.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that. And then like you know like these teams are constantly improving, obviously. And so you know that if they got shit on that game, you know, sometimes it's also on like player sentiment as well. If I know this player just got released from this team and now he's gonna play against them, oh yeah, I'm giving him the over. Yeah, he's gonna have the revenge game of his life.
Yeah.
that thesis has gone like I think like 8 out of 10 times. Like that thesis is pretty right.
Okay, wait, so...
I also have a little bit of like experience in like quantitative finance. So
yeah, that's what I didn't know if you were like systematizing for you.
Yeah, so
are you trying to outsmart?
So like it's there. So you know, I am trying.
Why are you not running your own Valorant betting algorithm fund? That's what I'm really trying to get to. Talk to Henry and his co-founder is going to like not Citadel but another quant fund this summer.
Yeah, I mean, so I do research consulting for Quant, like for everyone in the house. Yeah, so they're pretty big like world class. They have probably a big office. They have a big office here in Florida. They also research consulting. Yeah, no way. So I already had like analytical skills from before.
Wait, how interested? Where's your internship this summer? It's not a financial institute. Oh, okay, and it's maybe I'm mixing you. Did I just mix you up with his co-founder's co-founder's going to? No, it's his team founder. I think is going to. It's another fund. It wasn't. Yeah, you're gonna be on the quant desk. Sorry, my brain terrible. Anyway,
I had this background that I developed in finance, like early on, like doing like personal finance stuff in like middle school. I got really interested in finance in like high school when I also started trading. After I started trading, and then like obviously I also had a background in gambling, so like trading became very, very natural. Like I could click a button and I could just like that, like it became very natural to me. And so
At what point in high school did you get your face ripped off by options?
Oh, I mean, yeah. So really, it was after the first week because after the first week, I was just trading like comments.
Yeah.
So I was like,
This is so easy.
fucking ass. Like, I'm only getting like $10. Like, what is this garbage? Like,
Give me leverage.
yeah, like I need leverage. I need it's all obviously I'm going to research. Research
Have
any
you
way
ever
to
played
get.
around with crypto sphere?
No, I really couldn't.
A bunch of those decentralized exchanges, you can get like a lot more leverage than
Oh,
you could.
yeah. I mean, I've looked into it, but like, I just like, I didn't want to deal with like learning the whole asset class, like,
Yeah, that's a
and then like learning the features leverage, like how to one leverage or things like that. Like, I'd rather like do either fundamental analysis or things like that. Things of that nature. And so after that first week, I started trading options, and then I began with a friend. And so he introduced me to options, and so we were trading together. This is during COVID times. So like I'm literally in like on Zoom in English class, trading. But this was when SPACs were big. When SPACs were big. Holy shit.
So you thought you were a genius?
Holy shit, I thought I was a genius. I was making $1,000 a week. I was making $1,000 a week. Man, that shit was nuts. Back in the day, yeah. And then I made a shit ton of money, and then I got ripped for like five grand in a day. And then I was like, right, maybe I'll chill out.
Maybe it needs a risk for it.
Maybe I need to chill out.
The model needs risk for it.
Yeah. And then
Wait, so do you want to go into quantitative finance?
no, not really. I don't want to. Sure.
So like, why go to Fidelity this summer? Well, yeah, but you're not going to be
I'm not gonna be on the
software. Do you want to be in software development or do something on the
Yeah. I want to continue gaming, but the thing is, you got this information. I also might renege on Fidelity if I get the Amazon offer. Because I heard Amazon. So I had a friend actually that because it's probably headcounting with Amazon. That's still not like for them. I had a friend that he didn't get his return offer from Amazon until like May. Wow. Yeah. So I'm kind of holding out hope for it. Maybe I will. I don't want to show them that I care that much. So I'm in limbo right now, but like,
Well, if you're interested in also like quantitative finance, I have a friend who did data and I always mix them up. BlackRock is the giant asset manager. Blackstone is the giant private equity shop. Yeah, he did data at BlackRock, I think. And then he helped stand up the data side of Vasari. So Vasari does like crypto research. He was helping build out that test. And then he went to a crypto fund. Now he's spun out and he's trying to set up his own, his own quant fund. It's going to be his own money, so it's like a very small book to begin with. If you have any interest, I can introduce you. Roberto's super sharp, and I'm sure you would get a kick out of whatever he's doing. He's basically like looking at the AI revolution. It's like, oh shit, you might be able to compete with some of the big dogs. So he's trying to do it. And then his co-founder, I haven't met, but he's a guy who's very senior at one of the trading desks.
do you know how much assets on that?
No, it's proprietary, it's prop capital, so like probably a very small book that they're trying to fix. I think they're going to prove the strategy out and then like maybe try to finance it. So
that's the really thing about the small models. The ones that I developed is based on quants that we lose billions of dollars. So all the models I've built, billions. So I don't know how much I'm pretty good.
Cool. I don't know. Have anything like now we're just shooting straight.
I think it's about this bit of hopefully for demo day we have something interesting show.
Yeah. Maybe it'll buzz. Okay. You need to think about. I mean, you got to get the MVP together first, but don't underestimate the importance of that distribution. Yeah. You're gonna have your friends blast out for those chat rooms or Discords, but like each one has a few hundreds. is that like only 1,000 users across all those platforms? That's kind of what I was saying about like the viral hook. Like you don't have to do the Twitter thing that I was saying, but just like something like why does a person start using your platform to share it? If it's giving them an edge gambling, that's enough incentive to like yeah, game tricks is like helping me do my picks. But yeah, don't underestimate if you make a good product, getting eyeballs to your platform is going to be tough. Well, maybe not tough. You gotta get hacky. You gotta figure out how to do it. How's your internship going?
I think it's wraps for this. It's not wraps for this. You gotta keep pulling this. This school ends in like 2 weeks.
And you'd want a like software engineering internship. It's like I don't know what the fucking terms are, but yeah. For dev positions.
If you really have nothing, I can get you a couple of internships. Pay $20 an hour. That's see that thing is a bad. Is that a bad thing for you?
Any amount of money is better than $0.
Yeah. $0 an hour for you, not bad for you, bad for me. And then if you do good, you can go part time for the year if you do something. They raised me 25. Yeah, AVP.
I texted my friend not a neobank. They're startups here in town. He and I were hanging out last weekend, and I asked him. He said he would ask his CTO if they needed any interns. Don't hold your breath, but hey, that's something. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out. Pitch, because I need to do that. Josh is my boss, so I don't want you to give out feedback. Let me know how adjusting the parameters goes. That improves the prompt. If there's anything else y'all need, email away. Thanks so much.
Your brain is adapting. Like I'm not going to need long-term storage on this thing for you. But it's like you're really crazy kid, just do it again. Yeah, but then some are super real. They might just like apologize to iPhone. So
What did TJ tell us about our story? Did you talk about like the pyramid thing?
I bet you aren't even applying. Last time you applied to an internship.
2 days ago.
When you applied to a class, how about that? I don't care if you just saw one.
I think 40 that day. I got the applications in like fucking 30 minutes. You know, uplift education in Dallas.
That's on 30 minutes.
Yes,
What the
bro.
fuck do they ask you to do for 30 minutes?
Bro.
I'm exiting out the application.
Bro, the fucking,
I don't care.
the first
How much
page
were they paying? If they were paying less than $30 an hour, I'm exiting that application.
Yeah, like, I had zero internships, so like, anything is there.
I could literally get a guaranteed internship. But if you make me crash out at demo day, then no. Then no. Because I will remember that. Hotel style. Oh wait, there we go. There it is. Farmers Branch. How far are you from Farmers Branch?
Like 30 or 40 minutes.
Was that actually? Really?
I'm actually,
Not center from
I don't think I've been to Farmers Branch personally.
It's like on the edge of Farmers Branch. Right? Not really Farmers Branch. Search of ADP. How far are you from
Distributing IT technologies.
Yeah. That's like my commute. This one. That's fine. That sucks. The highway sucks though after 5.
Yeah, bro. I'm looking at the fucking highway, the whole thing's red and orange.
Yeah, it goes literally becomes red. It sucks. It sucks. Subway's nearby, like Jimmy John's nearby. Subway was looking like default skin after work. Like, it's fun though. It's like it's a chill. It's honestly a really chill order, man.
What kind of like Alright, I'm sitting.
Bro, I'm like, bro, I want you. I mean, I walk in, I'm like 99% happy. Obviously, I talked with like, so obviously I had an interview with the CEO, Robert. He's a chill white guy, old white guy, and then Henry's dad, the CTO. So I interviewed him. Talked about
Very limited experience.
Yeah, no. Well, if you remember the talk on that honestly does not. It's a formality. It's a formality. It's like vibes. Honestly. If you're an asshole, contractor, you're just gonna get back to that. Like, I honestly wouldn't want you to work there for
you're an asshole. Then that looks bad on me. And then you intern, and then you interview with the other guy. You don't interview, you don't, if the Ukrainian dudes aren't still there, you don't interview with them, but if you Misha and Dennis, they be cussing the shit on in the Ukrainian shit, they talking about a bunch of shit in Ukrainian. It's fun.
Dude, when I worked at Fan Express, there's this one dude. I swear he was Asian, but it turns out he was Argentinian. And like, he's super quiet. So then, like at night, whenever like on the dude, he's like old too, but like he like works 2 jobs, so I guess he's like the kind of guy like constantly like surviving out here. And like he's looking kind of old, and like during the day he's kind of quiet. But then at night, whenever we're cleaning shit, we're like cussing him like the manager. I'm like, man, fuck you, manager. It's so funny. It's because we used to have a really good manager, and then he got moved to a different Panda Express, and then the new manager came in was like hella strict for no fucking reason. Like no one liked that dude.
So if you're working on the same shit I did, or you're planning to work on the shit I did, maybe you will. Or you like spend on it. My shit is a little perfect, so you probably won't have to touch it. Maybe you'll do some stylistic changes, I don't know. Or usually you work on like little things. So the first thing I worked on was like an authentication thing, like you know when you scan your phone, really mobile authenticator.
Yeah, I remember something about that.
Yeah, that's the first thing I worked with, and then I got put on the real facial recognition.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That shit was too tough.
So like, how's the like a work environment in like a tech job?
Like that. That one is. Okay. So I have very vastly different experiences. So my first internship was at Tech Consulting, which is like tech adjacent. It's like, and then that one it was very startup type culture. So our office was literally like they repurposed like the restaurant. So like it was very homey, cozy vibes, right? So I was working with hella big, and like they were probably making hella bread. And so also like a standing desk, a snack pantry, I was snacking all the time.
That was a super small.
Wait, that one I got paid like $19 an hour. I negotiated though. They offered me 17. I was like, fuck that. I'll market. I'm really 100% all market. And so, and then AV, $20 an hour. Oh, you also interview with the guy Taylor. He still works there. Taylor. He's hella chill. He's a black guy. Long hair, like you know that.
Oh
he's a chill fuck dude. So, yeah, he's a chillest guy. Beard and all that. That vibe. And then
Does he get surfer vibes?
He's a bit short. He's on the shorter end. Yeah, and that's basically the whole team. It's like 4-person dev team. As the intern, unless they already bring in an intern. This year. I was the only intern that year.
Did you already work part-time?
Huh? Oh no, I'm still technically employed there, but like I basically haven't done shit. So I'm basically on.
Is this like a solo? They work on like your thing?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you get slot, so it depends on what they need, right? So if they need X feature, you're most likely to be on it. And sometimes it's a small feature like authentication, and then you put it onto a bigger feature. But usually it's like, so that's why I low-key got inspiration from. I want you to build your own feature so you do your own thing. Not like do our own thing. We work in parallel.
Yeah.
Because like, there's this thing called busy waiting in operating systems. You never want to busy wait. Because busy wait takes too many CPU cycles. You don't want to busy wait. So like a while loop waiting for something, waiting for another thread to free up that resource. Yeah, that's not gonna work out, buddy. That's not efficient. So what you want to do is, you either want to work on whole different things, which is probably what we're doing, or you have to, I'm talking too much OS shit. You don't get to learn that. You don't get to learn that with me, buddy. You get to suffer what I did.
Does Norman record lectures?
Yeah, but they're pretty ass. So don't count that. But you watch videos before class.
And then it's
those are the lectures. And then it's like Flash is like discussion.
And you get
you also group. You get split into groups. Like every like I think that definitely like propelled my platform to heights. Like the last year I worked on AVP was like an extension of like facial recognition, but this time we were using LLMs. So like, cause like you know how like recently like it was during my part-time job. Like we were working with LLMs for like object recognition and all that. And that was the whole year. So like, cause you know if you put like ChatGPT in this image, it'll be like AI, things like that. So like if you have the feature enabled on your camera, then whenever you do get that snapshot, we process it on our backend. If it has any of our like you set like rules on your camera, like alert me if you see the FedEx shot, like things like that is so simple. It alerts you if that connection is true. the groups are heading out, like, I'd love to, swap LinkedIn and stuff with you. I think that's really interesting. It's been a long time coming. I feel like if you can find a person who works on that urgent generation. Yeah, so we feel like we can definitely, if we go about it the right way and have like a good, the best mind team, like how we can feel, we should be at a point where if we keep on like onboarding, because then like the experience comes, because regardless, if we keep on improving infrastructure, kind of like you said, building more teams, like right now we have like a mini QA team internally, but like if we're working with some project, we're also, I think you're like, everything that